Fantasy Hermaphrodites. This is the final podcast, if that's what you want to call it, webcast, I guess it actually is, of the season. Um, we have the playoffs starting this week, 2 rounds, 4 teams got in. We all knew Homer was getting in, Kyle was getting in a few weeks ago. We knew TDs was going to get in. L-Town was on the ropes. I was on the ropes for a couple weeks, but it's all set. We're all ready to go. Before we get into predictions and all that type of stuff, I wanted to mention a couple things. Number one, we're missing money from one person. Kyle has yet to pay for the buy-in. So if Kyle makes any money, if he gets first, second, or third, then I'll just deduct it from whatever payout he gets. And then if he gets fourth, no one will receive any of the money until I receive his money, okay? Because I don't want to have to spot anyone. All right? So that's that. And also what I wanted to go over was I put together a couple mock awards for the best and the worst of the season. Okay, so just going to kick it off here. As far as the draft goes, the worst pick in this year's draft, round 2, taken number 9 overall in that round by none other than Donation Station, was Peyton Hillis. I haven't been following Peyton Hillis. I don't know what he's been doing. I think the man curse has got to him this year, but he has been absolutely stagnant all year. Has done nothing. He's been injured. When he's been in, he hasn't done much. Terrible pick. Fat ran some bad luck early on in the season, but that pick sure doesn't help him. I scooped up MJD, the pick after that, so if that tells you anything right there. As far as the best draft pick goes, there's a lot of late sleepers that came about, but bar none, hands down, possibly the best fantasy player this year if you exclude quarterbacks and a couple of running backs, Rob Gronkowski, taken in round 9, the last pick in that round by Slava McCobb. Scotty got him. Great pick. He's been just tearing it up all season. I absolutely hate him. I don't own him in any leagues, and he's been killing me. But thank God Slav didn't get in the playoffs because no one has to see Gronk, so that's good. Worst trade. There was actually a lot of trades this year. I feel like every team was part of a trade at some point in the season. Let's try it again. Initiated, a handful of trades throughout the year. So, and the worst trade will go to Let's Try. He traded essentially Aaron Rodgers to L-Town Stunners for Ryan Matthews and Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is very dispensable, and Ryan Matthews has been good as of late, but would you trade Ryan Matthews for Aaron Rodgers? No. Aaron Rodgers has just been a beast, and that trade got L-Town into the playoffs. At that point in the season, he was kind of hanging around, and that really pushed him there towards the end, getting Rodgers. So that helped him out immensely. Worst team name. This is pretty easy. Bill Offadani's team name this year was B. Just B. Don't know why. Thought he would change it into something clever and creative and unique, and he didn't. So that by far gets the worst name. Best team name, just because it's incredibly true, is Donation Station. He lived up to his name. He donated all season long, wins to people and trades and Wes Welkers, and I think he wound up with 1 win on the season. And yeah, I actually looked at his schedule. He played some close, high scoring games early on, but when you give up and don't pick up players, that's what's going to happen. Okay. Best. I'm sorry. Where am I here? Worst game. Worst game was between L-Town and TDs in Week 1. 2 playoff teams. Okay. Final score: L-Town 64, TD 64.5. TD started Kerry Collins that game. Got him 7 points. L-Town Ben Roethlisberger 8. Rashard Mendenhall got L-Town 2. Nate Kading was on injured reserve. He got injured that game. High score for both teams was Greg Jennings got 17.5 for L-Town, and that was it. Low-scoring games for two teams that are in the playoffs. Kind of surprising. Okay. Best game of the year. I basically gauged this on high scoring and how close it was. And it was Slob versus B. Week 4 was a pretty tight matchup. And both these teams kind of were on the bad end of luck this entire year. They ran into monsters when they were scoring high in the high range, and it just didn't work out for them this year. But that was a high-scoring game. Gronkowski got like 28 points that game. B's receivers just went wild. So that was a good game. Neither team at that point in the season, both teams were looking pretty good to make a run late. But like I said, they ran into monsters pretty much every week. I looked at all the transactions this year as far as pickups and drops, and the best pickup was DeMarco Murray. John Romosexuals picked him up. I don't remember what week it was, but he picked him up, and Romo was a bottom feeder for the first half of the league, and then when he picked up DeMarco, he made a nice slow run, and that helped him. That helped him out a lot. Could have pulled it off towards the end, but his running backs were very suspect at that point, and that improved his chances, and he was scoring a lot of points after that too. Worst drop of the season, because there's a cornucopia of worst additions. But the worst drop was Michael Bush was dropped twice by L-Town and Marty, and wound up getting the hands of TDs. Now I gauge this on a player who has played in a significant amount of games, who's seen a significant amount of time, and that's made an impact on one's team. Michael Bush has made a huge impact on TD's team. Just like John, his running backs were very suspect. Chris Johnson wasn't doing well in the beginning of the year. Michael Bush picked him up, threw him in there, and he's been performing really well for him. Best team is let's do worst. Worst team is Donation Station by far. His receivers are garbage. He's got like Devon Bess, and he's got Andre Johnson, who's been injured, and his running backs are like Dexter McCluster and Daniel Thomas, and his tight end's Pettigrew. So just terrible. Best team is TD's by far. Cam Newton's on fire. Marquise Colson's been good. Nix has been good. Like I said, Bush and Chris Johnson. Jimmy Graham is obviously having an incredible season. He's just well-balanced everywhere. No real weak spots whatsoever. He's in a good spot to take it down. And speaking of taking it down, as far as playoff predictions go, we'll start with the 1-4 game, Kyle versus Tom. It's a close matchup, and it's actually one that I'm going to look at now because I don't remember who's on those teams. Kyle's he's been winning games, but he hasn't been doing it impressively. He's ran some good matchups. He's got some good PPR receivers: Welker, Steve Smith, Miles Austin, Ray Rice, Beanie Wells. His tight end and his quarterback might hurt him. I think I mentioned that in the power rankings. Tom, Aaron Rodgers, beast. Jennings going down hurts him a lot. His receivers aren't that great. Dwayne Bowe and Torrey Smith. Sproles and Mendenhall, they're hit or miss. You don't really know what they're going to do any given week. Tony Gonzalez has been good. I'm going to give the edge to Kyle just based on his receivers here. I like Kyle to advance in that one. Moving on to the 2-3 matchup with Sissified and TDs. Receivers, quarterback, running back, very even. I think the difference is going to come down to that tight end position. And TDs has Jimmy Graham, and I have Brent Selleck, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. And all his players have favorable matchups, and mine don't. So I think he's going to win. And I think TDs is going to beat Kyle in the finals, and I think I'm going to beat Tom in the semis, and that's what's going to happen. Okay, I'm running out of time here. I only get 10 minutes per podcast. But I want to make some power rankings next week to go over payouts and projections for the championship and the third place game and all that. So good luck this week, guys, and talk to you later.